now we have a portion of the morning where we want to have a panel. As we were praying through this conference, or I should say the ladies who planned it, guys, I did very little. I'm up here a lot, but I didn't do much. The panel exists to show us what it looks like to flourish at different parts of our life in different seasons of our lives. And yesterday, right before the run through, I was praying God's heart into what he wanted me to say about the panel, because I wanted everyone to understand really what the heart was. And he just showed me just like a real clear picture of the number of different kinds of flowers and plants there are in the world. Like the millions of known and unknown plants that exist, flowers that exist, and how every single one grows in a different climate, a different environment, becomes different colors, grows at different rates, grows at different heights. And so we put together a panel of women from all different walks of life and experiences so that you would get to hear specifically about flourishing in different seasons. So I'm gonna bring everyone up. First we have Emily, who is one of our worship leaders. She's a wife and mother and all around incredible person. So we're super excited to have her. Then Michaela, let's welcome her. Michaela White is almost 16 on Wednesday, is her birthday. Student at Geneva High School. She's a cheerleader and she's wonderful and I love her. And so I'm excited to hear what God has done in her shorter life than the rest of us. Lena's gonna come back up and join our panel. Wasn't she incredible? Like, if you didn't cry, I cried. And then Ms. Nancy Karen Winter is going to join our panel as well, who's our final speaker for today. Her son is the cowboy. And there he is. So we're so excited that she'll be joining us. So we have a couple of questions that I want to ask them, but just remember, every single person has a story to share and a way that they flourish, and it's based on the exact specific things God's doing in their life. So we have prayed and chosen these women because we believe that they have something important that God wants us to hear from them. So let's get started. Thanks for being here, ladies. I'm super thrilled. So first, I want to ask Emily a question. We talk about seasons a lot. Flourishing obviously comes with growth and different things like that. And there are times in life that we are more inclined to grow, and we go through seasons. So Emily, I wanted to ask you about a season that you're in right now.
Well, I felt a season shift actually this last fall. I was coming out of a season that was very much a winter season. It was marked with loss and disappointment. So I was a teacher and I taught, and that school closed. So I lost my job. My boys went to that school. They lost a school. I've had several friends that have been transferred out of state. My marriage was in a difficult spot. And then I lost my dad. So it was definitely a season I was glad to see move on. But so I definitely feel like I'm moving into a spring season.
That's awesome. So as you enter that season, what are the things that you're doing to really embrace it and to lean in, coming from a season that was really hard?
Well, I feel like I can't really speak into what my flourishing season looks like without telling you what I did in the hard season. Because anything that you're seeing flourishing in me today was planted in that hard season. So during that dry season, I basically found myself, I had plenty of Eeyore days, let me just tell you that. But nothing changed until I sat at the feet of my comforter and let him comfort me in that season. There was nothing I could do differently. I found myself surrounding myself and saturating myself in truth, whether it was constant worship music. I'm a working mom, full-time working mom. So like when I was getting ready, I would have sermons playing. Every car ride, it was declarations I was saying over my life. It was listening to worship music or worshiping myself. I absolutely had to surround myself with truth. I was in the Word every day. I was declaring it over my life. And it's in those seeds that I planted where I saw the season start to shift. And it was years. It was years of a season. So starting in spring, there have been things, or starting this last fall, which was kind of the beginning of my spring season, God had asked me to do a lot of scary things. of stepping out, where I'm not a person that was very naturally confident, but because of the work that I had done of taking down some lies about what I was believing about God, down lies of what I was believing about myself, that he placed confidence inside of me to be able to step out. Like the fact that you guys are seeing me play piano on Sunday mornings without taking lessons, that's one. And I stepped into a place of leadership in my new job, which it's just kind of, I ask, so I'm a manager at Trader Joe's, and it's not where a teacher would normally go, but God has given me incredible favor there. I have this group of like 20-somethings that call me Mama Winks, and they come to me with all their life issues and allow me to speak into their lives, which is crazy.
And 2 of them started coming to the well.
I know,
I just
2 of
want
them
to point
do.
that
Yeah,
out.
they do. I'm very excited about that. So, again, I can't tell you enough that anything you're walking through today is the fruit of what you did in the previous season. So you have the choice to choose today the seeds you want to plant, because those are the seeds you're going to see in the next season. And so I can't emphasize that enough.
So good. Thank you, Emily. I love it. Sometimes, let's thank her. That's awesome. Maybe you should preach on Sunday mornings too. Sometimes in a hard season, it's hard to remember God's presence, remember his constancy, how he's always there, he never leaves. I want to ask Michaela, when it's hard to see God work in your life, how has he reminded you that he's there?
So God has reminded me many times and in many ways in my short life of how much he just loves me and how much he just cares for me and how much he can heal me. So a few years ago, I was diagnosed with anxiety, which I'm trying to calm myself down right now. I'm like shaking and sweating. So he's shown me so many times. And so the big thing for me is panic attacks. I have a lot, and my mom knows. She's comforted me every time. And so there was one time that I had a horrible panic attack at a game that I was cheering at. And the sound around me just started to fade away. I couldn't hear what anyone was trying to tell me. And I was just freaking out, and I didn't know what to do. I could just hear my heart beating and feel my heart beating in my chest. And I could see that my best friend and my coach were trying to calm me down, but I couldn't hear them. And then all of a sudden, I just felt this peace wash over me. And it almost felt like a hug, from your mother or someone that you love. And I could not explain it. And so quickly I started crying. And I was like, it was crazy. Everything just went away. So then, of course, we went to church the next Sunday, and Pastor Jerry had done a sermon, and he was teaching about how, God is really just pure love, and, telling us who God was. And that really spoke to me, because that's how I see God, as a love, a comfort. He's there to heal us. He's a healer. And so then, as God always does, I had another panic attack that week, just to show me, And I was at my locker in the morning with my boyfriend, and he could see me shaking. And so he tried to calm me down. He's trying to say things that would calm me, and nothing was working. And then all of a sudden, again, I felt that wash over me. And so I started calling them Jesus hugs, because it really does feel like a hug from your mother. And so I felt that, and then my boyfriend hugged me, and I just started crying in the hallway. And so then I really just started calling them Jesus hugs. And so I really use them for tests, for presentations that I'm doing for this, because it's really scary. And so I really just like, I don't formally pray. I just say, hey, God, I have this thing coming up, or I'm doing this thing, and I'm really scared, and I need you there with me. And knowing that he's there, feeling that comfort, I know I can do whatever comes my way.
That's awesome. Thank you, Michaela. Guys, that is flourishing, growing into something because of Jesus that you wouldn't have been able to do by yourself. I could cry. I'm so proud of you. Like, I love her so much. She's in my small group, so I'm like, oh. That's not because of me. That was Jesus, but still really proud. That's awesome. It's really important if it's something like that, something tangible that you can feel, or a bass note in a song, or something that God has consistently done for you, hold on to it. He's doing something the way a father would, ongoing to show you how much he's there and loves you. We talk about flourishing. Lena, I have a question for you. First of all, thank you for your message. Wow, I'm so fired up. I want to be you when I grow up, so I need to read everything you've ever written.
You can say my name well. So.
Abu Jamra. Guys, Abu Jamra. I can do it. Okay. I'm sorry. You have no idea how much I practiced that. It was a lot.
It's worth dragging it out a little.
Abu Jamra.
Listen to 40 episodes of Today's Single Christian yesterday to get the name right. So,
which I'll point out are a minute podcast. They're not, I didn't listen to 40 hours.
I was impressed.
I would have, though, if it meant learning your name. All right, so we know that it's God's will for us to flourish. That's what he wants. He never wants us to leave us where we are. What are some of the practical ways that we can share that message with our friends and family, the flourishing?
Yeah, by the way, I'm impressed you have a list of notes on your phone. And I thought I just got the question. I don't feel like that's very fair a few minutes ago. So
you just got it a few minutes ago.
I could have written a thesis on it, but it's okay. So you're talking about like sort of how to live out your faith, I guess, in a sense. I really think that the root of it is authenticity. I think I sort of alluded to that in my message. I really think that the world is much more impressed with us when we're going through difficult seasons and when everything is going great in our life. Yeah. I know that because think about our own lives. Like, I've rarely looked at somebody who's got everything together and thought, like, God bless her, even Joanna Gaines, like, she's great, but like, who wants to be her? Maybe you all do. But I'm thinking on her, but the point is, like, sometimes people who have everything together, it's hard to really like connect with them. And I think sometimes people's pain is what draws us closer to that person and to their message. And so I think as Christians, if we can recognize when we're wrong, because all of us are going to have moments where we're going to, especially relationally with other people. So are we quick to ask for forgiveness? Are we growing in the way that we act? I just recently did a conference with 4 series teaching, and at the end, like I was telling him about the last session, I challenged him. I said, y'all are going to go back home after this conference, and I said, what I would do, the first thing I would do is God has moved in your heart and you guys have made decisions for the Lord. And like what I would do is like show up to your family, sit down, especially your kids. I think kids are the easiest place to live out the hardest, but it's like a good petri dish of like living out your Christian life, because that's the hardest place. So if you can start to make strides in the home, then everything else, it's a lot easier to be polite with your boss than it is with your kids, right? I don't have kids and I get that. Or your husbands, like it's easy to be rude to the people that are closest to you, which is sad, but it's life. And so sit them down right away and like tell them, here's what God did in my life. And they're going to laugh at first, right? Because it's awkward because you haven't been that person. Most of us, they've seen our worst version. And so if you sit them down and say, here's how I've asked the Lord to change me, list the 2 or 3 practical things, now you've got accountability. And I think, it's ironic. So I went home that night, and I'm telling you a true story. This was last Sunday. So I finished telling them this, and in my talk to them, I said, but the truth is, here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell them that, and like, by that night, you're going to screw up. Like, if you're going to be like, I'm going to be nice to you, I'm going to ask you, and then like, by that night, you're going to screw up, and that's okay, because we're humans, and we need grace. But the key in the Christian life is as you grow in the thing that God is doing in you, to continue to go back, authentically, to ask for forgiveness. That's the distinguishing feature of the Christian. We forgive, and we ask for forgiveness. We have humility, because God has given us that ability in Christ. Well, I go home, this is hilarious, because I land on like Sunday night, and I literally go from the conference to a party that my sister had done for me. And the 2 days before I left for the conference, I had found a mouse in the middle of my bathroom. A real live mouse. And I'm in a new house. I moved 6 months ago. And I freaked out. I had a panic attack. And I mean, I was really freaked out. I know some of you are not, they don't sound impressed. Nobody said, what? I was aghast. I was mortified. I'm a neat freak, and I freaked out. And so I got my brother-in-law who sold me the house. He's a realtor back Friday. Gloria, you're a realtor. You probably get called about stuff like that at 10 o'clock at night. He got rid of the mouse. We didn't kill it. Everybody was happy. The mouse guy came on Saturday while I was at the conference. So now my sister, who does the party for me, takes me, like, they invite people to their home. They cook the dinner. We show up from the party. My friend Tina, one of my closest friends, was traveling with me. We go to the party. Everything's great. 10:30, my brother-in-law is taking me because they pick me up from the airport. So they do all these nice things because they're Christians. They're living out their flourishing Christian life. This is like their best life yet, right? I'm the Bible teacher who just spent 4 sessions teaching. And now on the way to the house, I asked my brother-in-law something about, well, what did the mouse guy do? And he was supposed to meet the mouse guy because I was serving the Lord. So it takes a whole family, right? And he's not, I mean, he's my brother-in-law. He's not even my brother, right? But it's his fault because he sold me the house. So this is the Christian walk. It's practical, everyday stuff. So he's literally driving me the 2 miles with my best friend Tina in the back. And he's like, well, I don't know. I think he did what he's supposed to do. I go, wait. Did he not plug up the holes on the outside? Well, I don't know. I wasn't watching him. I was in the house. I said, did he? So we pull up into my driveway, and I see my friend Tina's car in the exact same place that it was when we left, which meant it wasn't moved, which meant the attic was not looked into. Nobody other than the inspector has looked in the attic in 6 months. I had a fit, okay? I couldn't believe it. And in my head, you ever live 2 people where you're like, my friend Tina's in the back, I shouldn't be this upset about this, but I was like, how could you not look in the attic, right? Now, mind you, 6 hours earlier, I was at a conference, and I had just told them, you're going to sit down your family, you're going to tell them, here's how I want to change, but you're going to fail. But that's okay, because God's going to give you the grace to get back, because what we do, we fail in the car because of a mouse that should have been relieved, and then we go, I'm never going to change, I'm back in the same place that I was before, this is useless, I might as well just continue in the same way. That is a lie from the pit of hell, okay? The funny thing is, the next day was my actual birthday, and I was still carrying that, like, I'm so mad at my sister, I'm going to move away from the city, I'm going to list the house. And about midday, my brother-in-law calls me as if nothing had happened. I hadn't even yet asked his forgiveness. Okay, again, my sister and husband are godly people who are living out their Christian life. But you know what? It rebuked me a little, but really more than that, it reminded me that that's how God's grace sort of is. I don't know how I could describe it other than this. It's not that God doesn't care when we lose it, but it's just there's a relationship that's bigger than that one incident. And what he wants for us is to grow in godliness, to grow in recognizing where I'm failing, where I'm not living the Christian life, so that, yes, with every good intention is not going to change us, the Spirit of God is, and it happens over a lifetime. And so I think that's the best live example that I have that just happened a week ago of what it means, I think, to live out your faith, to recognize your failures, to authentically admit where you're wrong, and to go back to the drawing board and go, okay, God, I see, now change me because I can't do it myself.
Thank you. Love it. It's awesome. That was my biggest thing when I became a Christian and told my family. And then, like, that night I got in a fight with my brother, and he was like, you're not a Christian. And I was like, okay. I've come a long way in 10 years, but that still happens. It's fine. Well, Nancy, we are so excited to hear from you in a few minutes, and I'll introduce more about her before she closes out our conference. So I'll get right into your question if that's okay. Over the past few years, we want to know about your experience, in which area, whether it's perseverance, faith, or hope, has your life begun to flourish, and what has that looked like for you?
No, I'm just kidding.
Is her mic on?
Perseverance. Can you all hear me out there? No.
Yeah, give her the handheld.
You'll hear me now. Perseverance, definitely perseverance. Of the 3, I had no trouble picking which one. And let me just say from the onset, the way I handle things that I don't know a lot about, which is quite a few, I always go after what the meanings are, what the dictionary says about them, and then I go into the word to try to find some synonyms. I think that's the right way to say it. And then to go into the concordance and find out what the original Greek or Hebrew word is. When I did that with the word perseverance, I found some very familiar words. One was patience. We all know about patience. We all pray for it. Don't do that. Don't pray for patience. You already have it. That's the good news. You do have it. It's a fruit of the Spirit. It's called long suffering. It's already in you. It's already functioning in your life. So you don't have to ask for it. It's like love, same thing. We have the love of God shed abroad in our hearts. So I thought, perseverance, I've got that. Now, the first thing that came to mind was the portion of Scripture that talks a lot about patience. And that's the book of James, my favorite book in the whole entire Bible. I love the way it starts out. It says, count it all joy when you encounter various trials. You mean I get to have a happy dance over the bad things that happen to me? No, I knew there had to be more to it, and there is. As you look down into that chapter, you begin to see that it doesn't end with count it all joy when you encounter various trials. It says knowing that. What do we know that allows us to make a happy dance? We have to know something. And it goes on down a little bit further, and it talks about patience, or in this case, perseverance, having a perfect work. It has a perfect work in our lives. And I've learned that over the years, that that perfect work that it has, it goes into a result, and the result is so that you may be perfect and entire and lacking nothing. I want to go there. I want to go there. You talk about a happy dance. That would be amazing, to go to a place where you're perfect and entire and lacking nothing. So perseverance is pretty important to me. It's an attribute of the Holy Spirit, because He's given you the fruit of the Spirit. You have it. And that's the thing I want to encourage all of you in knowing that that's already in you. You don't need a trial and a tribulation to produce it in the first place. It doesn't produce it. It works it. There's a big difference there. That Greek word is works. It works that perseverance or that patience in you. So you can rest in that, and you can just have a total confidence knowing it's God within us to work us through that.
I love it. Thank you so much. So good. Great. Yeah. Sometimes your flourishing is taking longer than you want it to, but perseverance is the thing that you already have that will keep you going to see the fruit of that. So thank you so much. Can we thank our panelists this morning? Thank you. Can we thank Lena for that? Thank you. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, I'm so encouraged. Thank you.